Good morning. We are going to be jumping into the conversion.ai, also known as Jarvis, and Michelle is going to be walking us through how she knocks it out in conjunction with Surfer. We're going to be talking about a bunch of tools today that we're going to include links right below this video so that you've got direct links to everything that's in here. Some of these are paid tools, but I think you'll find that they make your life substantially easier, saving you countless amount of time. So Michelle has really come an incredibly long way learning how SEO works, how on-page works, how the technical SEO works, and she has really taken this piece by the horns of learning how to incorporate artificial intelligence to be able to write really strong articles that rank well without maybe having a lot of the industry knowledge of whatever industry you're writing in. So if you have clients that are in a specific field and you need help getting articles and content on their site that will help them rank, this is a great way for you to potentially do it. So with that, Michelle, take it away and walk us through how you do it, kind of what the concepts are and what some of the tactics and strategies are.
Absolutely. Thank you, Richard. It has been wonderful learning from you and from all the folks in the communities that you've developed. For sure, I heard about Surfer from you, and then I can't remember where conversion.ai, also known lovingly as Jarvis, came from, but it's definitely a tool that has saved me time. It has saved me headache. Blogging is something I can do and that I've been good at, but it's not my favorite. And so being able to do it more quickly is great. I do want to highlight, you said it's a tool. Absolutely, it's a tool. You should always fact check anything that AI spits out. This is one of the best ones, the best one on the market right now. There are lots of them available. conversion.ai is the best, and they have some really great integrations already. Like we said with Surfer, they're acquiring some other properties to continue making it better. So it's definitely worth the money. I don't have to pay, I don't have to spend the time myself, and I don't have to pay a boatload of freelancers to write copy for me because I can just knock it out really quickly. So with that, we will share the screen, but I need you to let me.
Yep.
So I do have one of the monthly plans with Surfer SEO. If you're going to use the integration of Surfer and conversion.ai, you do have to pay for both. But again, it's still cheaper than paying a boatload of freelancers. So I use the content planner feature, and this is a whole different training. But I currently have a client who is in the landscaping business. They're a local client that I do SEO and social media for. So I've already done a couple of different content planners. And again, this is it's a great tool. It's something that we can look at in another video. But what it does is spit out clusters, which means it has already done all of the keyword research for you in one quick, you tell it you want to talk about weed control and fertilization, or whatever it is, running shoes, or whatever you want to talk about for a few months at a time, and it will spit out all of these different clusters. And from there, some of them aren't great. Hoffman Lawn Care, I'm not writing for Hoffman, so I don't want to use that one, but I might optimize it and then just change it to my client's name, and then it's still optimized. So what we were going to look at was weed control and
just real quick, let me interrupt you and ask you a question there. Just this piece of it, how long, when you learned how to do the manual way that I teach, and the manual method that I have always used for doing keyword research, how long did it take versus doing it the way that you're showing right now?
I mean, it could take, I don't know. I didn't even like to time it. It was definitely a time sink because, you want to go to Google and you want to maybe check with Ask the Public, and you want to look at the other questions and all of the different, it could take forever. With this, it's type it in, it does it for you. It can take up to 5 minutes, but it spits out for this topic. It was 92 clusters. So if I use them all, that is 92 blogs or city pages or whatever I want to use. 5
Having
minutes.
virtually no industry knowledge about about landscaping.
Right.
Excellent. Okay.
Versus the hours of, and obviously not all 92 are useful, but I could
Sure.
get a year's worth of blogs out of this. So we were going to go down to, right, so when to put down crabgrass, aeration and overseeding. All of these are things I could blog about, put some calls to action in, and I've got conversions all over the place.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so we were going to go with, where did it go? Well, we'll just grab when to put down crabgrass. So you can open the detailed view and it shows what it found in its own keyword search, right? It's not the highest monthly search volume, but you know, it's up there. So if it's something that my customer does, it's something I can write about. And you can choose which of the long tail keywords that you want in there. If you don't want one, you can take it off. You have the setting for natural language processing. So, you know, if you have the plan that includes that, you want to turn it on so that your keywords make sense. They don't sound like AI even at this point. And then it's really super easy, create content editor. That gets us to the piece of Surfer that we've trained on before. So it's going to take its little time. It's going to find the competitors. It's going to find, you know, all of their scores and everything.
And so this is basically, so your first step that you just talked about was grabbing content topics to write about. It did all of the research on those content topics. Now that you've chosen one of those content topics, it's doing the very specific keyword research on that. And it's basically putting together all of the number of times you need to use the keywords, the competitors that you're going up against for that specific term, et cetera, et cetera.
Et cetera, et cetera. It's doing all of that. So we're just going to wait on that to populate.
Yeah. So for anybody that's ever done this manually, it sucks. Like this is a time suck right here. And so you're faced with two options. You either basically you have to do all this work yourself and it takes too long, or you pay somebody to do it for you and it becomes expensive. This tool is just fantastic. If it did nothing else up until this point, it would still be worth it. But this is why I use it. But like Michelle said, the way she found out about it was through me. The way that the reason she found out about it through me is because I literally use it. It is a very, very powerful tool.
Absolutely. So once it tells you it's ready, you can either go ahead and share a link with a freelancer if you want to, or anybody you have, you know, your content creator, or you can open the content editor yourself. We have another video that we can link or point you to. I don't know why I'm having to log in again. Another video we can link or point you to if we need to show you how to optimize this content. I'm going to kind of skip all of that today because we've done it before. But you can.
I'll add that video into the training page as well, so it'll be on the same page that they're going to be looking at.
Great. So you can go in to your settings, change things up a little bit if you want to. So now that you have this ready, you want to jump over to conversion.ai. Let me get rid of my LastPass. I already have my conversion.ai pulled up. You can have different projects. So I'm in my company's dashboard, and there are all of these different frameworks. Today, we are going to look at the long form assistant. That's what the training is on today. But if you want even more help getting started, if you want to do steps before that, you can do blog post topic ideas. So almost like the keyword research that we did before, or you can tell it, I have this idea, I need you to give me an outline. You can have it separately write your intro paragraph, although we are going to cover that today. There's a conclusion paragraph, creative story. You can do Facebook stuff. If you have too much jargon or you're worried and you know your Hemingway is telling you that it's not readable, you can do explain it to a child. There's Google stuff. There's Instagram stuff. There's Amazon stuff.
The different GMB posts are incredibly helpful if you're into local SEO.
Yeah, so just it's huge. There's lots of training on it. We can do more training on it, but let's go ahead and jump into the long form assistant. So describe the content you want to create. Here's where you want to give conversion.ai, Jarvis, some some guidance. So sometimes I pull that from here. I want to write approximately 2,000 words, some paragraphs, so I can tell Jarvis that write a 2,000 word blog post about when to put down crabgrass. We had when to put down crabgrass preventer. You can give it as much information here as you want. There have been some people in the amazing Conversion AI community that have experimented with putting all of the keywords from Surfer in here. You can put keywords here. That's usually where I put them. I'll put a few at a time. And then you can hit continue. And here's where it starts to get great. You can write your own title, or you can tell it to generate ideas. So just to play around with this one, I'm going to use crabgrass preventer, 3 tips for successful prevention. I didn't have to rack my brain for it. Here's where it gets even more fun. Introduction paragraphs in whatever you're writing can be awkward. I'm going to tell it to generate some ideas.
And so, by the way, just as an idea, and I'm kind of throwing this out there to you as a question, where it says like 3 tips for putting down crabgrass. If I were to go into Surfer and see that I needed X number of headings, maybe I turn each heading into one of those. So I tell Jarvis to make it, 7 steps to putting down crabgrass, whatever.
Absolutely. You can change it up when you get into the editor as much as you want. Without reading these, I'm just going to grab this 3rd one. Setup is complete, open editor. So throughout, if Jarvis starts going off the rails, which happens sometimes, if he's writing about the wrong topic, he may just need more guidance. So as you go through your editor, you can change the description. You can add different keywords. If he's not using some of the ones, you can add those throughout. So there are a couple of different modes. Let's look at power mode just super fast. If you're here, okay, we have the introduction paragraph. If we want to add an outline, we can add an outline. I love playing with the tone of voice. You can put descriptors, witty, informational, inspirational, whatever you want. You can also put people. You can play around with the different people. So if you want Tony Robbins to talk about gardening and crabgrass, Tony Robbins, I think even, who was it that I last?
I want Samuel L. Jackson.
Yes. And he's going to give you some colorful content. Optimus Prime is on there. It's hysterical. So there are all of these different, you can bring up your content improver, your framework for PAS, for ADA. Where it gets fun though, I keep saying where it gets fun. It's all fun to me because I geek out over it all. You can bring up Surfer. And again, you have to have both Conversion AI and Surfer. That content creator or that content editor we just created, here it is. Right, so now I know I have all of that work that we just did and I can get to going. And as we write,
that's wild.
So here are some quick tips before we get started. If you want Jarvis to ignore information, if he starts repeating himself, which he does sometimes, you can put in 3 asterisks and it's a blinder for him. He can't read above it. And when you're working on your headings, there are a couple of ways to do it. So we'll play with Jarvis. Let's hit compose. I've got him set to medium. You can tell him to do just a couple of sentences. You can tell him to do a medium length or a longer length and hit compose and just let him work. Tip 1, where are we going to apply it? And look at him go.
This is wild. This is wild.
And so because I didn't put any keywords in there, he's not reading any of this. I can go through and manually change it. I can go back to the focus mode and I can add those keywords that I need him to hit, pull Surfer back up, and just as you go, the score will increase. Right now, you can't put images in. So if you want to see what images will do, you would have to go back to Surfer, but they're working on that. And okay, so we need some headings, right? We need an H2 here. Bam, one
That
each.
is wild.
I just went up that much. We don't have the title in there. Let's throw the title in and call it an H1, right? We've got when to put down crabgrass preventer. Let's turn that into an H1. Right, and I'm not having to do much. You do have to edit a little bit to get back the compose button. And that's when you can fact check. That's when you can, do those things. If you want Jarvis to know that you've just written, so he can't read the H2 that we just put on here. That's for Surfer. If we want Jarvis to know something is a heading, we put a couple of hashtags there. He understands it's a heading. So we've got perennial weed, which means that it will grow back each year. To eradicate this pesky plant for good, you need to apply a preventer, blah, blah, blah. All of this stuff. I would have had to have done research on what crabgrass is. What the heck is a preventer?
Right.
Hours and hours of what is all this stuff, or an interview.
I don't know what a perennial weed is. I mean, like, that's not my world.
Yes. And this is all one of the questions that we hear on a lot of the trainings over in the community is, how do we know this isn't copied content? And
yeah, duplicate content.
I don't understand the science and the tech behind it, but it pulls from all over the internet. You are not likely to get duplicate content. You can always check it on Grammarly, Copyscape, any of those. I recommend that you do. Those tools can be completely free. But I haven't run into duplicate content at all. And I've written, 15 blogs with it already. So if we want, we can hit compose again, watch him go. Okay. Right. So now he's repeating himself.
Okay.
So we don't want that. What we're going to do, delete it. We're going to put that blinder on. So this is a little bit of a trick. I'm going to copy what he wrote here. I'm going to delete it. I'm going to put it back. That will usually bring the compose button back, but it didn't this time. So we have to make some edits to it before we can get him to compose again.
Maybe delete the space between the header or something.
I doubt that'll. Oh, there we go. So now we can go ahead if we want him to write something different. Tip 2, and let's see what he says. So we had where up here. Tip 2, he said spring and fall. So let's say spring and fall applications. I'm just going to add, a little bit of information for myself. We've already shot up to 32. Let's make this an H2 so that Surfer can see it. Right. And now we need to start including some of those keywords. So this is the point that if I were writing this for real, I would go back to focus mode. And I would take some of the keywords from my optimized content editor and I would put those in this box so that we can
throw in like soil temperature in there or something like that. I just happened to glance at your keyword list and saw that was one of the keywords.
We can always bring Surfer back up to grab those. Let's see what we got. Preemergent herbicides.
Yeah, okay. Whatever that means.
Let's do preemergent herbicides. No idea what it is. And you can put up to 3 in this box. So you said soil, temperature, and you hit enter after.
Gotcha. So this box right here where you've got the 3 keywords, this is just to write the next paragraph, right? This isn't a keyword for the entire document. If I wanted to make this document 50 pages long, I can keep changing my 3 keywords for every paragraph.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Okay, and then if I want to make it, if I know if I want this to rank for a local a little bit as well, and I know I need to change it a little bit to get it to compose for me, I might say in Northeast Georgia, especially city, and I would replace those later. You can do da 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 da.
Gotcha.
Right, and so it'll tell you how much you have to add and edit.
Okay.
Due to frost damage or other issues. Consider having a professional diagnose your damage before treatment. And then I'm going to write that I want to put in a CTA, a call to action. And that's, you know, I have all of these other things in power mode. I might bring up the headline generator for a call to action.
Okay.
And then let's see, what can we do to change it a little bit? I don't know why it's taking this long to bring back the compose button. It normally doesn't. Let's see if we can use our little dirty trick again. Yep.
There you go. By the way, I wonder if that shortcut works even if it doesn't give you the button. That Control J. So like next time it's asking you to create more content or whatever, just hit Control J and see if it does it.
I don't think it will, but let's try it. Nope.
Okay, gotcha. Cool.
All right, so it called it tip 1 again because it's not reading that it's already done a tip 1. We're going to call this tip 3. So it's giving us information about, it's talking about timing again. This is where, you know, you do have to do a little bit of editing with it. We'll turn it into an H2. We'll bring our SEO mode back up to see where we are. We're at 32 and we're only at 318 words, right? So you're just going to keep doing this process, edit it a little bit, have it keep going, edit it a little bit, have it keep going. And, you know, oh, I took out one space and just shot it up to 42.
Yeah.
And if, you know, if the changes that you're making are adding in the customization for your client, then those are things that Jarvis wouldn't know anyway. So if I have a CTA in there, I could say call client name today, learn more about, grab a keyword, grab grass preventer, right? And then come back down here, do any other little changes that I want to, and then have it keep going and keep going. And this is a whole lot faster than me researching pre-emergent herbicides.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I mean, I don't know anything about the landscaping industry. I can't imagine how long it would take me to, yeah, exactly. I can't imagine how long this would take me to research this and write it. Like the keyword research alone would be like legitimately several hours to get good, like figuring out who the competitors are, diagnosing which words they're ranking for and why. Bringing all that stuff together would take several hours. And then learning what in the world a pre-emergent herbicide is, that right there, like soil temperature, I don't know anything about this stuff. So for it to be able to spit out content like this, and I'm combining the time savings of the keyword research with competitor research and the actual research of the, you know, what the hell I'm talking about anyway, the combination of this is just insane. I mean, you're teaching how to do it, and we're not going to be 30 minutes in, and you're going to have an article that's optimized about something we know nothing about.
Right. And
so if you really got good at this, I mean, you can knock these out like a well-polished article in a half hour.
Yes.
That's crazy.
And then, you know, throw some Richard Worley special geotagging on the image, and I've got both organic and local happening on the same page.
Yeah, this is wild. This is wild. I'll definitely include some links to some other videos, other tutorials on this page that this video will be posted on. Links to like what you're talking about, the optimized images, the one about Surfer and the keyword research, the way that we go through that and setting up your campaign. But this is just this is wild how good the content can be and how quickly it can be. So let's say that you were to take this, let's add one more, if you don't mind. Let's just add one more, try to get it up above a 50. Maybe we'll go back, we'll throw a handful of images in there and see what we can get our score to be. And again, like, obviously it's going to take longer because you're teaching how to do it and we're stopping and asking questions, playing around with different features. But if you just sat down and knocked this out, this would be a pretty quick process for something that we're not a subject matter expert in.
Let's see. Let's tell Jarvis. We'll have him come back and compose here. Let's tell Jarvis to talk about. Let's call it tip 4. Open up focus mode. Take out these keywords. Tell him to talk about seedlings was one that I saw. Hit enter. What else? Lawn weeds. So grass seedlings, lawn weeds, and grasses. Nope, I'm not typing. What was the third one I said?
I don't know, I was typing on a different screen.
Let's grab something that's up at the top. We haven't talked about crabgrass preventer enough, so let's see what happens when we add that.
All right.
Hit enter. He wants a little bit more, so now tip 4, managing grass seedling. Spell things right, Michelle. There we go. See what we get.
That is insane.
All right, let's see what that did.
And that's without turning it into a header.
Yep, we're up to 48. Let's turn this into an H2. Let's turn this
into we're at 50.
An H2. Right, so we're already at a 50, and altogether I've spent maybe 15, 20 minutes on this, with if you don't count the questions that you're asking and things. And he stopped, so you can either finish out or do some edits, come back and have him finish the paragraph because he can read his own stuff. And this is where I would probably start putting in more blinders so that he can't, we're down to tip 5. I might put a blinder before tip 3 or even between every paragraph so that he doesn't start repeating.
Right.
And part of the easy fact checking is I'm going to send this to my client before I post it anyway. I'm going to say, does this apply to Northeast Georgia? Does this apply to our area? Have them double. If they say no, it's going to be easy enough for them to go, this one sentence is off by 5 degrees. It's not 32, it's 38 in Georgia or whatever. That's 6 degrees.
Yeah.
But so, it's super easy. And then, so one thing to know is that this does not then put it into the SEO version of the content. So if you want to see what images are going to do, if you have some words that you're having a hard time, some keywords you're having a hard time getting into the content between you and Jarvis, and you want to add them into alt text, you do have to bring it back over here just to see what it would do to the score, because as of right now, you can't do images in conversion, but it's a feature they're working on. It's not far. These guys are amazing in throwing out new features.
So if you don't mind, if you've got the time to do it, let's just throw it over there and see what that does.
Okay.
Let's just see what we could get over there. And let's see what our competition was. Let's throw some images in there and see what our competition was we're now less than 30 minutes into this video. You're explaining how to do it. We had probably a 10-minute section where we got started. I want to see, you've just added, what, 2-3 images?
And it shot us up to 60. I haven't even put alt text in there yet. So if I start putting, and you know, just looking at these words, content, I might take out the word content unless I can figure out how to write about soil content, right?
Yeah, definitely. Email address doesn't need to be in there. I mean, this could have been cleaned up a little bit. If we would have, you know, spent a little more time on the surfer side, then your score would already be above 60.
Spell it right so it gets counted. Crabgrass preventer. Let's do apply crabgrass preventer. So we're grabbing both of those. Let's do soil content and soil temperature, 63. Right, so I'm just going to keep adding 65. Right, and again,
now let's go into the config just real quick, just to see what we can do. Let's go into config and take out some of the trash in the terms.
All right, let's take
so
out,
like menu doesn't need to be in there. Okay, so we've got these cleaned up just a little bit. Okay, so we've got all the content ready to go now. We're at a 63, just adding some alt tags, and we're at a 65. We're at a 68.
So looking
We
back,
also have like a third of the words that they want us to have. So this is obviously very effective.
yes, yeah, we're at 600 words instead of 1800, and we're already at a 68. So if we look at our competition, 68, we're already tied for number 5. If we can get past a 79, we're golden. We also don't necessarily want to, you know, over optimize.
Yeah, and their authority also is through the roof, so it's going to be hard to overtake them anyway.
And I'm not going to write a 3,000 word article, to be fair.
Right. Okay, so we're at a 68. We're about 30 minutes in. Without the intro, we're at about 20 minutes in. And that's you taking the time to walk us through how to do it. So on a topic that we know virtually nothing about, we did all the keyword research. We did all the competition research. We very quickly and hastily cleaned up some of the keywords from the research, took a topic that neither one of us know anything about, and we have an optimized score which would rank, which would score, at least the on-page score for Surfer is what, second out of the competition?
Mm-hmm.
That's freaking crazy. That's freaking crazy. Now, that's one blog post, right? So let's say that all in we're 30 minutes invested in this thing. That's one blog post. You mentioned earlier that you had 92 or 62 or something like that. It was tons of different blog post content from the keyword planner that Surfer also spit out. So you've got, I mean, I won't say endless amounts of content, but you've got a ton of content to start filling up the site with, and you don't actually have to write virtually any of it.
Right.
So
aeration and overseeding, I've got some seasonal stuff. So, I mean, I've got, out of 92, I've got at least a year's worth if I wanted to only focus on weed control and fertilization. They do several other things. So I'm going to have content planners for landscape design. I'm going to have content planners for pool landscape design. I'm good to go.
Yeah, you've got months worth of content that you can write about. You don't actually have to know the content, and you can charge. I mean, quite frankly, I would be charging probably more than a lot of people on this. Just my time is worth something to me, and I charge top dollar for it. For me to be able to provide them with carefully researched, they don't have to know that it took 30 minutes. For me to be able to provide them with you know, good researched content, I'm bringing them stuff that's going to rank. It's optimized content. the keyword research, competition research. They're going to tell you, if I ask the client, who's your competition, they're going to tell me about the local guy that competes with them on pest control or weed control or whatever. That's not really who their competition is as far as I'm concerned. I'm not competing against the guy next door who gets word of mouth referrals. I'm competing against their competition online. And this does all of it for me. This is such an incredibly powerful tool. I've used Surfer SEO for a long time. I was part of the beta group that used their local Surfer, which is also awesome, by the way, and they're making huge improvements on it. It's brand new at the time of this recording. So I definitely recommend checking it out, but I'll leave a link to it too. But I've used Surfer for a long time, since its early phases, and it's just such a time saver. To add that in with Jarvis, with Conversion AI, to be able to populate that content is mind-blowing to me. It basically takes, like, this thing's supposed to be 1,800 words. If I told somebody I need you to go do all the research and write me an 1,800-word article on when to put down crabgrass prevention, like that in and of itself is going to cost me a couple $100. I mean, I would expect to pay $250, $350 for this, for almost a 2,000-word article. So how much is Conversion AI? $50? Yeah, I mean, you're paying less than that for a month for as many articles as you want to write in there. It's a no-brainer. That's why I wanted to get this together and bring everybody this training. I know the power of Surfer SEO. I have been toying around with the power of Conversion AI and Jarvis. I have not dove into it nearly as much as Michelle has, so that's why I asked her, please come on and put this together, because this is crazy. I mean, somebody could legitimately just get on Fiverr or Upwork or any of those. Somebody could legitimately sell this for several $100 and use these two tools and knock it out. I mean, let's say somebody was willing to pay you $200 for this article. I mean, you're making, the equivalent of $400 an hour doing this. This is extremely powerful. There's going to be links below on this. If you guys have any questions, I'm going to post it in the groups. So if you got any questions, please drop it in the comments. But the time that we just spent on this was more than you'll have to spend on most articles, and it's going to save you a ton of time. So Michelle, I can't thank you enough. This is really cool, really exciting stuff, especially if anybody is into SEO and on page and they've done even a little bit of it. I mean, even if somebody just has a basic understanding of how on page works, they're going to glance at this and be like, holy cow, that saves a ton of time. So I can't thank you enough. I really appreciate it. If you guys got questions and comments, drop it in the comments below or send us a message. Be happy to help you out. Thanks, everybody.